Hi guys, this is Mrs. Ullrey, and what I'm going to talk to you about is how to make measurements. So if you take a look here, it says when making measurements you need to include all of the measured numbers plus one estimated digit. Okay, so different measuring tools have different units of measurement. Okay, so before you make a measurement, you will need to determine the value of the major lines and the minor lines in the tool. So we have more divisions on some than on others. Okay, so if I take a look at this first example here, I see that this goes from 10 milliliters to 20 milliliters. So it says, what is the value of the minor lines? So the minor lines are these little guys here. Okay, so what I would do is I would count here, and I see this is 10 and this is 20, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines in between. So that means that we're going to be counting by ones. Okay, so this would be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 milliliters. And then it says, what is the value of the minor lines on this one? So here we're going from 100 to 200, and we have 10 lines in between. So if I look at that to go from 100 to 200, that's going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So each line represents a tens place. Okay. Then if I look here, I'm going from 1 milliliter to 2 milliliters. So what this is going to be is a tenth of a milliliter. So this would be 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9. So these are going to be 0.1. Okay, so ones, tens, and this is tenths. So then it said, what would be the estimated? So what we would look at is what would be the values in between these lines. So if this is 15, this is 16 in terms of our measurement. So we would be able to know the ones place for certain. So we're going to be estimating in the tenths place. Here we know our tens place with certainty, so it's going to be the ones place where we're going to have to guess. So for example, if my line was between here, so let's say my volume was in between these two lines, so this is 10, 20, so this is 120, this is 130, but it fell between 120 and 130, so I'd have to estimate and say maybe that was, I don't know, 125. So I would have to estimate the ones place. And then here, it's going to be the hundredths place that I'm going to estimate. So if I stopped in between here, this would be 1.0 and this would be 1.1. So if I had a measurement in between here, I would have to make an estimate and say, well, it didn't quite get to 1.1, but it's definitely further than 1.0. So maybe I would call this 1.15. Okay, so you're estimating in the hundredths place. So when we're measuring liquids, we're going to be looking at this little thing, this little bend here, and that's called a meniscus. Okay, and we always measure from the bottom. So we see this little dip here, and we're always going to be measuring at the bottom of the dip. Okay, so we're going to go through and we're going to do these example problems. I'm going to do the first three. I'm going to ask you to pause the video and try the next three on your own and then check your answers. So example number one, the first thing that we do is we look and see that this is 30, this is 40, so each of these little minor lines has a value of 1. So if I look, this would be 35, 36, and I see that this line hits right here at 37, and it doesn't quite get to 38. So I know that I have 37 is my measured, so I know 37 for sure, and then I have to add an estimated digit in my tenths place, because I had lines for the 3, I had lines for the 7, but I had to estimate this one, and I'm going to estimate that as 0 because I see it right there on the line. I'm going to do my next one. Okay, I look and this is 6 milliliters, that's 7. So I'm going to look at my lines. So this is going to be 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4. And I would say that it's right there on that 6.4 line. So I have a line representing 6. I have a line representing the 0.4. So I'm going to have to add an estimated digit. And because I say it's right there on that line, I'm going to say that it's 0 past it. So I'm going to put 0 as my estimated. So what I'm writing here in green, those are my estimated. What I'm writing here in orange, those are my known. These are things that I have lines for, and that's the one that I'm estimating. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at the next one. And I'm going to see that this time that's 300, and up here that's 400. So each of these are going to be representative of 10. So this is 310, 320, 340, 330, 340, 350, 360, 370, 380, and then right there I get at 390. Okay, so I know that I have at least 390. Okay. And I don't know the ones place. So if I take a look, I may say that this is actually just above there. So if I look right here, I think it's just above. And so because I think it's just above, I'm going to say that I think this might actually be 391. Okay, as my volume. So my 3 and my 9 I had lines for, so I know them for certain. My green is going to be my estimated. Okay, all right. So then what I'd like you to do, pause the video and try the next 3 on your own. Okay, hopefully you pause the video. Let's go through and talk about the answer. So again, we have measured lines for all of these. This is 15, that's 16. So this is 15.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. So I know that I have 15.6, and because it's right there on that line, my estimated digit is going to be 0. Okay. Then if I look at this next one, here's 8. So that's 8.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. So I had 8.8. I had lines for those, and it's right there on it. So I'm going to say it's 0 past. So there's my estimated digit is 0. Now I'm going to do the last one. There's 50, there's 60, so these are going by ones. So this is 51, that's 52. So 52 is measured, and then I'm going to say it's right there on the line, so it's 52.0. Okay. All right. So when we have to do estimating, okay, so let's talk about how we estimate. So if the measurement isn't exactly, or is exactly halfway between the lines, we're going to have that estimated digit is going to be 5. Okay, so if we look at this over here, I've got my 5 milliliter over here, so this is 4.6, 4.7, and then I see that this is exactly halfway between these two lines here. So I'm going to write that my measured is 4 point, and then this was 0.6, 0.7, so 4.7. It didn't quite get to the 0.8, and it's exactly halfway between, so my estimated digit is going to be 5, so 4.75. Okay, now I'm going to take a look at the next one. Here, we see that we didn't quite get to the halfway mark. We're less than halfway. So if a measurement is less than halfway between the lines, the estimated digit will be less than, so this little alligator means less than 5, okay? So when I go to write my numbers, I know that this is 4.5, 0.6, so sorry, 4.5, 4.6, that's 4.7. So we know the 4 and the 7 for certain, but it didn't quite get halfway, so it's just a little bit past. I'm going to say that's maybe 2 past our line. So my estimated digit is going to be 2, less than 5. Okay, and then the other scenario that we'll sometimes see is here we went way past halfway. So we're going to have a number greater than 5. So if I look at my measured numbers, this is going to be 4.7 again, right? 4.7, but this time it didn't quite get to the 7, but it's definitely more than halfway past. So being more than halfway past, it's got to be bigger than 5. I say that's almost to the next one, so I'm going to say that my estimated is 8. Okay. what I'd like you to do is pause the video, try these 4 examples on your own, and then I'll go over the answers. Okay, I'm going to go over the answers. What you should have gotten here is this is 4.5, 0.6, 0.7, didn't quite get to the 8, so we know we have 4.7. Okay, and then I would say this is pretty close to the next line, so more than halfway. So more than halfway, I'm going to estimate that number to be 8. If you put 7 or 9, that would have been okay too. I'm going to take a look at this one. So this is 2, that's 3. So I'm going to count, so that's 2.5, 6, 7, 8, but it didn't quite get to the 9. So 2.8. And then I can see that this is less than halfway past. I'm going to say only a little bit, so I'm going to put 1 there. If you put if you put a 2 or a 3, that'd be okay too. And then I'm going to take a look at this one here. My measured numbers, now we're counting by ones. So this is 71, 2, 3, 4, so that's 74. So we know that for sure. It didn't quite get to 75. I would say that that looks to me exactly halfway between the two. So I would give that a 5 to say that it's halfway in between. And then on the last one, we're going to take a look. So this is 30, that's 40, and we're going to count up by ones. So that's 40 or 35, 36, 37. Didn't quite get to the 38, so we're going to have 37, and it's almost there. There's like just the tiniest bit of white space, so I'm going to say that that would be 0.9. Okay, check your work and see how you did.